Hey Spartans, it's Dr. L with Spartan Mind. Today we're talking about internal emotional boundaries. So there are external boundaries, the boundaries that you set with a different person, and there are internal boundaries, the boundaries you set with yourself. And internal emotional boundaries are boundaries that you set with yourself as it relates to emotions. So let me give you an example of this. So let's say you're feeling great, you're in a good mood, everything's going well, you go to the grocery store, and the person behind the counter is grumpy. They're irritated and they're not as friendly as you would like them to be. And all of a sudden you get in the car and you're grumpy. That's because you haven't set a good internal emotional boundary with the person at the grocery store. And all of a sudden, their emotions have been absorbed by you, and you're finding yourself in a position of grumpiness when just before you were cheery as ever. So one of the reasons why it's important for us to set a good internal emotional boundary is that if we don't, we can absorb the emotions of other people and get overregulated and overwhelmed. And then we sort of lose sight of how we were even feeling in the first place. So one of the ways that you do that you set an internal emotional boundary, is by calling up an internal coach or just a dialogue in your head around separating their emotions from your own emotions. So here's how that might look. You're cheery, you're joyful, you go to the grocery store. The person at the counter is grumpy, irritated, not very friendly. You leave, but instead of absorbing their own feelings, you call up in your head, well, they're grumpy today, but I'm in a good mood. That's just a simple delineation between how they're feeling and how you're feeling. So that can look lots of different ways in terms of the language that you use. You can use that's how they feel, not how I feel, or that's their feeling, I feel this way. Sometimes I like to use the phrase that's their crazy. It doesn't have to be my crazy. Whatever language you use is up to you. But what's important is bringing in and calling up that language so that you have a greater capacity to set that internal boundary so that you don't absorb their emotions. And that's internal emotional boundaries. If you like what you hear, spread the word. Tell your friends, subscribe and review on iTunes, or comment on YouTube. Then come tell us what you think. We're on Twitter at SpartanUpPod or Instagram at SpartanUpPodcast. Mindfulness is a topic that I get questions about all the time. And I think, oh shoot, sorry.